Hey, welcome back. My guest this segment is Ben Ward, CEO of Wayland Group Corp. Ben, welcome back.
Thanks, glad to be here, James.
Yeah, so Ben, you guys just keep knocking it out of the park here. You've got the production facility in Langton amping up, Germany and Switzerland amping up. You're doing an expansion at all facilities in Canada, 942,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's what we'll be when we're fully built out. So we now have phase 1 near completion, and phase 2, all the foundations are in. Greenhouse is going to start going up, and then we'll build out phase 3.
Wow. Okay, so you're essentially approaching the same footprint as Aurora here, globally it seems. What is your international game plan cohesively?
Our international game plan is to take our initial production from our EUGMP certified facilities here in Canada, and then take that product and penetrate the European market while there's no domestic production in those countries. So we have one of 6 companies with EUGMP certification for cannabis flowers, so we can export that product. We just signed a major agreement this last week, which we announced this morning, for 9,000 kilos over 3 years with Cannamedical Group for export of flowers, the biggest agreement of that type in the space so far.
Sure.
And so that's our near-term strategy, and then we'll be developing domestic content in both Germany and Switzerland, and then we've announced that we'll be moving ahead in Italy as well.
Okay, so that's like, as you said earlier, that's like a $30 million return on a $2 million investment.
Yeah, essentially, that's what we'll be able to do, and then with our CBD operation in Germany as well, we'll be able to gain a very high margin on that.
Do you guys consciously target return on equity like that, so that you look at a deal and say, well, if we can get 15 times, return in the course of a year or less, that's a good benchmark to establish for acquisitions going forward? Is that part of the thinking?
I think acquisitions to come down to who are we going to partner with in country, who's the management group we can work with there, what's their track record, and then does the market make opportunity? For instance, is there a payer market for it? So there's many countries who are legalizing cannabis around the world. They could be future production sites of bulk material. But what we look at is, where is it rational for us to invest? Where is the partner? And then is there a payer system or the disposable income for people to be able to afford that product? So when we look at Germany, Switzerland, Italy, there's high disposable income, and then there's national health payer services. So the product can be covered for medical, and then when the rec market grows, people have disposable income. So I think it's a mix, and we have to look at, if there's a near-term arbitrage opportunity, we'll move ahead very aggressively.
Sure. And you guys just filed a prospectus for this $50 million bought deal financing, and that's being led by Haywood?
It's being led by Canaccord, and Haywood's 30% of the syndicate.
Okay.
And the shoe is filled, and we're oversubscribed.
Is that right? Just like that?
Just like that.
Okay. Good to see things are progressing so well. Now, you guys also have ambitions for other jurisdictions in the world. Is there anything that you can talk about development-wise that way to us right now?
I can't specifically say where we're moving, but we've previously stated that we're looking at all of Western Europe. That's a specific target for us. And then we're looking at different jurisdictions as they come online. So I think that the reason for this capital raise is for future acquisitions, and I think you can expect to see something in the near future.
Well, that's fantastic. You seem to be jumping ahead of a lot of the incumbent LPs in Canada who have distribution deals or the foundations of distribution deals in Europe. And why do you think that is?
I think it's because of our close attention to compliance and quality of product. As I said earlier, there's only 6 of us who have EUGMP status in the world. And then whether you can continuously make your product pass test batch or make the analytical testing approved for the product, it's not guaranteed that it will happen on every batch. We just have rigorous and strict production methods in place, and we continue to hit those targets. So if other groups who have that certification or can't get that certification can't deliver, we're stepping into those contracts.
So is that to suggest that the testing and the stringency of the rules are much tougher in Europe than they are in Canada?
Yeah, EU GMP certification is much more stringent than what's called GPP in Canada, which is what the certification for the ACMPR is. So it's treating the plant truly as medicine, right from clone all the way through to packaging. And our previous experience of some of our team in pharma really helps us to get to that point. And then it's just adopting a way of doing business that we are going to comply and be very strict and stringent with every single one of our SOPs. And it's just a different level of operation. So rather than just producing cannabis, we're producing a true medical product.
Interesting. So then are you in a position where you're going to need to raise money continuously to realize all these ambitions, or is there another capital strategy existing in your capital structure?
Yeah, in the cap structure, there's a lot of warrants that we would like to see exercised, and we think we'll be able to push through the levels to see those forced. And that will supply the company with additional capital that's required, that's already baked into the capital structure. So I don't foresee having to do continual equity raises like this.
Oh, okay, great. So one might conclude, and it's probably a little bit forward-looking to say this, but one might conclude that the rising tide that has lifted all major cannabis boats, but has somewhat bypassed Wayland at this point, may yet come to bear on the company based on all of these developments?
Yeah, I think that we'll see our ship rise once investors see that it's not just about making press releases or having sensationalistic sound bites, it's about building a business, building a company, and I think as of the Q1 2019 numbers are produced, we'll see who the winners and losers are, and it's not who everyone thinks.
I'm sure. The October 17th legalization of cannabis in Canada, how does that impact Wayland Group's entire profile at this point?
It's huge for us. We have some of the biggest supply orders for Alberta, BC, Manitoba, and we are filling product right now for Ontario as well. So the recreational demand is there. We've been successful in securing large agreements, so that'll be highly accretive for the company. And then our products will be there on the shelves because we are producing, we have scale, and I think you'll see us as a major player in the market.
Do you think you'll have a store in Ontario? I mean, it's a little bit uncertain yet as to who will and who won't.
Well, we'll see what the retail market allows, and we'll see the structure. From a regulatory standpoint, they're saying that they'll allow one store. So we're opening a beta store and a launch for a flagship in Zurich. And I think that's a really interesting test market for us because you have three cultures in Switzerland. You have the Italian, German, and French cultures. And we can test and see what works there, what is an educational format that people become interested and understand cannabis, and it can help with our branding. So we'll learn from that experience in Zurich, and then as of April 1st, if the Ontario government allows, we'll see what the store would look like in Ontario.
Okay, so can I ask you what made you want to change the name from Marican to Wayland Group?
Marican is a combination of marijuana cannabis. It defines us as a pot company, and as we progress in further medical markets, having Wayland Group as the overall structure made more sense for us with different sub-brands and businesses underneath. So for instance, we bifurcated our pharmaceutical business and our recreational business into really two separate commercial divisions. And Wayland was a mythical German figure who created different magical elements, and so it's works well for us in the German market, Switzerland, Austria market, and then in Canada as well. So a fresh start. Most of the people here at Wayland have been here for under a year, and we wanted to have something to symbolize that.
Okay, so what percentage of your business do you think going forward in 2019, 2020 will be medical versus recreational?
I think in 2019, we're looking at almost a pure recreational business other than German exports. And then in 2020, I see that evening out more as we see more concentration on the medical business in Europe. And I think we move to about a 70-30 business at that point in time.
70 medical, 30 rec?
70 rec, 30 medical.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you've got a bunch of brands that you announced on September 17th, White Feather, Hawke's Bay, Nelson's Blue, Flightless Bird. These are all recreational brands?
Yeah, those are rec brands under the Kiwi banner.
Oh, I see. Interesting. I like the references to the birds and getting flying. That's very cute. All right. Well then, let's leave it here for now, Ben. We're going to be speaking to you frequently now that we're working together. Thank you very much for joining me today. We'll come back to you in about a week's time and have another conversation.
Great. Thanks for your time, James.